Hello everyone and welcome back to another video where I'm still childless. I am currently, I've just turned 41 weeks actually, and I might film a quick 41 week update because I did my 40 week one hoping it'd be the last one. I don't know, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I mean, I'm having a really bad day today in terms of my mood and all those sorts of things, so I don't know if it's a good idea to film it. Basically, I spent most of the day being an emotional wreck because I just cannot cope with being pregnant anymore. For today's video, I thought I would do like a Q&A kind of thing, but it was actually only based on one comment. So one of you lovely ladies commented on my video about trying to induce my own labour, and just like with loads of random questions. Some of them were like more personal, some of them not so much, and I thought instead of just answering in this comment, I thought why not make a video out of it. Also, if there's any of you out there that are like went overdue, whatever, anything like that, please leave me some little words of love down below because it's just killer. You might see this once the baby's been born, but still, either way, it'd be nice to hear. So question number one in this comment was, do I have any stretch marks? Am I using anything for them? Yes, I have stretch marks. No, I'm not really using anything for them. I bought, when I first got pregnant, I was a bit worried about getting stretch marks. Because, you know, as we all are, they're not the nicest thing in the world, I guess. But then I realised, so I bought some cocoa butter and I was using it to begin with, but it takes a while for your bump to appear, so I sort of stopped using it way before my bump really appeared and I got any stretch marks, and for the longest time I didn't get anything stretch mark wise. But to be honest, the more I thought about it, the more I thought, one, I'm not that bothered. I had stretch marks on my legs from gaining and losing weight prior to being pregnant, and to be honest, you can't really, like, I was always so self-conscious of them, and I used to mention them to a lot of people once I got down to being really quite sort of small and mostly confident in my body. And people would be like, I've never noticed that you have stretch marks on your legs, like they're sort of on the inside of my thighs, and because they've got no colour to them because they've been there for so long, they've just faded completely, you can't really tell that they're there. My theory on the stomach thing as well is I think partly it's hereditary. My mum had stretch marks kind of on the lower part of her tummy, which is basically exactly where I've got them. And if you want to see my stretch marks, I've put a post on my Instagram, so go follow my Instagram down below, but also my 40 week update in my you'll be able to see in the bump shot there. But I just like I'm not really that bothered by them. I look at them sometimes, I think but I do know that also they're gonna fade. I'm gonna get in shape. I'm gonna make it my mission once I'm not pregnant to get into shape and to get into the fitness and healthy lifestyle thing, which is another reason why I'm quite looking forward to having the baby, because I just want to start like this new journey of new me and feeling good about myself again, because I've really just went for it basically in pregnancy and I just gained a lot of weight, I guess. But anyway, so gaining a lot of weight, I've got some on my hips and I've got some on my tummy, but I just think once I've shrunk back down, and in time once I can get to working out and stuff again, who's gonna care? My other half's seen me with them and he's the only person that I really care about, who cares about my body, and he loves them anyway because he knows that my tummy grew a baby, so I just don't care about them really. The next question is, did I do a maternity photo shoot at all or a belly cast? No, I didn't. And it's really weird because I think the thing was we moved at like probably the best time for us to do all those sorts of things, so then the time just disappeared and we've literally just finished sorting the house now, so that has been my main priority in terms of trying to get bits done. But I didn't do a maternity photo shoot. We were going to do, me and my other half, but I really don't think we're going to have the time unless we do it this weekend. We were going to do like the cringy kind of photo shoot just for ourselves, just for a little laugh, which I could film, but I don't know, the baby might be here by then and I might not feel up to it because everything is a struggle right now. And we didn't do a belly cast. I really wanted to do a belly cast, but again we just haven't got round to it. And then I thought, where would you keep a belly cast afterwards? I always wanted to do a belly cast and have a photo of the baby in the belly afterwards, but yeah, we just haven't got around to doing it. Do you have any embarrassing symptoms like lots of gas, farting, burping, etc., or just embarrassing symptoms in general? Gas, yes. Gas, like especially recently as well, and like bad gas. I think it's because the baby's moving down, so you constantly just feel like you need to go for a number 2, and it's just gas constantly, and I'm like, I hope that like I don't have too much of that when I'm actually in labour, because it'd be really embarrassing. Well, I mean, who's gonna care, getting a baby out? But yeah, there's a lot of that happening. Gas is something that I did not realise was really a thing until I got pregnant. The other thing that I guess you would say is embarrassing, although I only really do it in the comfort of my own home, so is quite a lot of burping, because I did have really bad acid reflux. It's a bit better now the baby's moved down a bit, but still, it's still there. So yeah, that happens. The other thing is quite a common one, but I always had a really strong bladder before getting pregnant, and so I just kind of ignored this symptom because I just assumed that I'd be fine. But literally, like, just laughing and peeing yourself, or needing to fart and it being and pushing a little bit too much and it being a bit pee as well, it just is very undignified. So yeah, peeing happens more regularly than you think. Sometimes I'll just be sitting in the living room and I'll just look at my other half and go like, you don't even really think you need a wee, but all of a sudden like a little trickle comes out and you're like, I think I've just peed myself. And it's not like peeing, like emptying a bladder, it's just trickles because the baby's literally squashing your bladder. And constantly feeling like you need to pee or poo because of where the baby's sitting is intense. But yeah, they're probably the most bodily functions that you don't expect, are probably the most embarrassing symptoms. Next question is, have you ever had anyone ask to rub or touch the bump to feel the baby move or kick? Yes, but surprisingly it's not been as bad as I thought. I always thought I'd be quite open to just, I'm quite like an open book. I know a lot of people that who I was working with that either hadn't had kids, but they were like kind of nearing my age and were just interested in it. Or my boss is gay, so he doesn't have kids. Well, let me rephrase that. He doesn't have kids. He would not make a kid himself, or would never have a partner that would make a kid sort of in the natural sense. And so knows nothing about pregnancy. So like, he never actually asked to touch my bump, but I think it was interesting to him when I'd explained to him like symptoms and, oh my god, the baby's moving and stuff. I think it freaked him out a little bit too, but I think he was kind of intrigued by it. But so I had a few people at work, a couple of mums as well from work, that like weren't gonna have any more kids and kind of missed the feeling and knew what it was like to be pregnant, so they'd want to just like rub the belly. And there were a couple of occasions where it was a little bit like uncomfortable, but it's quite sweet that people want to feel it. Like family members on my in-laws side are probably more open to wanting to touch my bump, and it's really weird because she moves all the time, but it's really hard to capture her moving because when I'm with family and things, we're doing stuff, so it's really, I'm not just sat relaxing as such, so it's hard to actually capture her moving. So someone put their hand on my belly like expecting to instantly feel a kick, and it's just not the way that it is because she's sleeping or whatever, and her most active time is in the night time or when I'm most relaxed, because that makes most sense. So I've had a few awkward moments where it's like someone's just stood there waiting for a kick, and it's like, I know it's not going to happen because I can feel she's not moving at all at that moment in time, and it's just like, this is awkward. So but it's sweet as well. I haven't had any strangers do it, which has been good, because that would probably have been a little bit weird to me. Oh, and the next question is, how do you feel about belly touches? I think there's probably been a few people as well where they've been like, some of my husband's friends, where they've been round and I've said to my husband like, oh my god, feel this quickly, or like when I've had a bit of a tightening recently. And I think that the friend, like some of his friends are kind of at a similar stage in life where they're thinking about having kids, and so probably would be intrigued but have never like wanted to ask me because they don't want to make me feel uncomfortable. And I would have let them do it, because I just think if it's for educational purposes and whatever, if somebody wants to touch it and because they're fascinated by the fact that there's a growing baby inside my belly, then I'm fine with it. Like it's fine. So the next question is, how many kids would I like? In an ideal world, having all the money in the world, and I don't know, right now I'm ready to have this baby and then no, even now in my most fed up state, I still am like, yeah, I'd have another baby, because pregnancy has been really kind to me on the whole, apart from just waiting this extra week and having a few little like high blood pressure moments and those little scares, but pregnancy's been really kind to me, so I would have more kids actually, even feeling fed up now. So in an ideal world, I would have 4 kids, I think. My reasoning for that is that I grew up in a family of, I have 3 siblings, and I grew up with lots of cousins as well, so I had the best time having so many siblings, but having 3 other siblings and lots of cousins. I just loved it. The house was never quiet. I always had friends, and I just loved it. And also, now we're all grown up, my siblings are useful for completely different things. And so like I have a sister and I have 2 brothers, so I have sisterly advice and I have brotherly advice, and I have, one of my brothers is really into tech and stuff, and my other brother is like the funny one of the family, and it's just like there's so many personalities, and I just love having someone to always go to. It's great, I love it. And when we do like family get-togethers, it's always good fun, although one of my brothers lives in Malta, so he doesn't come over as often, but like it's always good fun. There's lots of us, and it means now there's lots of kids, like, because lots of my family members have had kids as well, so it's just busy all the time in my family. My husband would like 2, so I don't know, he grew up with just one other sibling, never experienced like the life I did, and realistically we might only have 2 because of money and all those sorts of things. There are lots of reasons that I would never just have 4 kids and then go, now we've got to figure it out. I think like that would just be crazy, right? So I'd rather have less kids and be able to focus on those kids financially, and they have everything that they need and all those sorts of things. I know money isn't the most important thing in the world. I grew up with not having much money, but equally it's kind of important. How has hubby been bonding with baby? Any tips? Do you know what? So when I got pregnant, my husband, we'd planned it and we wanted to have kids, and we'd always talked about it, but he was more apprehensive about actually just doing it. So if you go back and watch the video where I tell him that I'm pregnant, I had to cut out a little bit of swearing in that, because he was like, what, you know. And he was a bit like, oh my god, it took him a little bit of time to come around to it, and he also didn't want to talk about it too much before the 12-week scan, because he gave me my time to talk about it, because I felt awful and sick and all those sorts of things. So he obviously gave me my time, but he didn't want to too much. He didn't want to get excited in case something wasn't right or whatever. But now he gets a bit freaked out when he watches my belly move, because it is just a bizarre thing, isn't it, knowing there's a baby inside your tummy. And he's quite stressed now because he knows how uncomfortable I am and all those sorts of things. So it's been a bit harder now, but he's been amazing and he's really bonded with the baby. Like, I remember even like once we found out it was a girl not long after, he was just so besotted. Like he's so excited, and just he loves her so much already, and he talks to her all the time. Tips, I think it's hard because I think it's different from person to person. It's very difficult to give you tips and to say, well, if you do this, then this will work and your partner will definitely bond with the baby, or with the bump. How did we go about it? So we actually saw a lady really early on who was donating a few baby bits that we went and got from her. She was really nice, and she said one of the things she did with her husband was got him to download one of the apps as well for you know, that tell you week by week what the baby's doing, what size the baby is and stuff, so he could kind of tell her what was happening, and it made him feel more involved, which I thought was a really great idea actually. We didn't do that, but luckily we have there's a couple of things. Luckily we have a nephew who we look after sort of every week. We're very, very close to him. We've got, this is on my other half side, we have other nieces and nephews on my side, but there's different family dynamics. This little kid needs more care for private reasons, but anyway, we look after him quite a lot, and my other half bonded with him so well and loves him so much that I think that helped him understand how much he'll love his own baby. which is one thing. Secondly, finding out what the gender was. Now this is personal preference. My best friend just had a baby and didn't find out the gender, and you know, her husband bonded just as well, but for us it really made it feel real, and for my husband as well, it made it feel real because we could start looking at clothes, designing her bedroom, thinking of a name, all those sorts of things. And so that really helped us. I think once we got to that point and you could start feeling the baby a bit more, and he could see my bump growing, I think those things all really helped. So personally, we found out the gender, but that's not something that's like, if you don't want to find out the gender, then I wouldn't say that your partner's not going to bond with the baby, with your bump. The thing is as well, is my husband is also my best friend, so any like issues that I was feeling, I'd always talk to him first about anyway. So all the ups and downs and all of the your mind just goes on a whirlwind the whole journey of pregnancy, and so we'd always just be really open and talk about it. And I always said to him, like, you know, it's okay if you don't feel like every day like, oh my god, this is the best thing in the world. It's okay to have days where you're like, oh my god, what have we done, sort of thing. That's fine. Just talk about it. If you're having a day where you're not feeling like the best, or you're a bit worried about the baby, or whatever it is, talk about it. We're very good at talking to each other. We have very good coping mechanisms in terms of like how we deal with things together, so that also helped. When he said to me that he finds it a bit strange or a bit much sometimes when the baby's making a triangle out of my tummy, well then I don't force him to come over and touch my tummy when that's happening. I read to him about how important it is and how much a baby can hear in the womb, and how important it is to sort of talk to them, and he just kind of took to doing that. He did it as a bit of a joke to start with and started just shouting at my tummy, and he likes to play music to my tummy and stuff. I think that I got lucky because my other half has really just bonded really well, but also just good communication with your other half is just essential. Next question is, have you had any trouble bending over to pick things up or to shave your legs or other areas below the bump? Any tips? Yes, but this has only happened recently, so I would say even up to like the mid-30s, weeks, I could still bend over and grab things. I would get this weird sort of popping sensation at the top of kind of where my uterus is, because where your like your stomach and things sit, if I would squash things too much, and that kind of, or like I'd get a foot to the rib and that would really hurt. So that kind of made me realise I had to kind of adjust what I was doing. But I'm very determined. The other thing is I've got really long toes, so I've got good picking up skills. So even if it was like trying to grab something off the floor to chuck it onto the sofa, and then you can reach it around to get all the way to the floor, that's a little tip. Just learning the squat, just a wide squat. I've ruined some of my leggings now from doing this, because a lot of squatting on cheap leggings just means that you get holes in the crotch, but you know, so learning to do the squat is just great. It's good for your legs too. Also asking for help if you need it. Like eventually it does become more of a challenge to consider painting your toenails or things like that, but I found it doable. I was quite flexible before getting pregnant, so maybe that's why. But you know, you've got a partner, generally speaking, so if you need help, you can always ask them. I'm quite determined and quite independent, which is why I've been struggling so much recently, I think, because I like to do everything myself. If you're in need of help, ask a partner or a family member to help you with painting your toenails or shaving your legs, if you know, if it's your other half, and even down there if you feel comfortable in that sense. My other thing that helps as well is mirrors with shaving, not just your legs, because you can see your legs still, and I just get in the bath and like adjust myself, and then I can kind of get one leg up, and generally I haven't done a perfect shave, but I'm not really that bothered. It's a bit colder in England now, and also I'm very heavily pregnant, so you know, I don't know, I'm not so bothered if there's a stray hair or two on my leg. But also with your lady area, depending on your preference, you could just do a very basic trim to keep it neat until the baby's here. If you're really determined to get rid of everything, you could go for a wax or whatever it is you want to have done down there, get someone else to do it for you, or use a mirror, as I say, because you can still reach down there, obviously, you just can't necessarily see it. And that for a while I was trying to sort of pick my bump up, but there's only so much that you can do, especially when the baby is very much down there. So the last question is one that some people might think is private, but again, I'm an open book, and that is sex drive and pregnancy sex and all those sorts of things. I'll be honest, it's been a bit like this, and at the moment it's like this because I don't feel good in myself, I don't feel confident, I've got some stretch marks, which, as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not really that bothered about, but I don't feel the best. I'm swollen, I'm achy, and right now I couldn't think of anything worse than having to get on my partner or, you know, getting close in that sense. So, you know, and I don't feel, yeah, I'm just not, I don't fancy it right now. So, but it's been up and down. Like at the beginning, nothing really changes for me. Nothing really changed for me because there isn't a bump. You don't really know you're pregnant, even though you've seen a test. I didn't feel like I was pregnant for a while. The sickness didn't help, but when there were moments where I wasn't feeling sick and that, it's kind of like normal, I guess. Some people's sex drive changes dramatically. Some people are really into it, and some people are the complete opposite. But for me, it was just the same really. So that was fine. Once the second trimester hit, I tell you what, when I started to find it weird is when I could feel and see the baby kicking, and I know that they can't hurt the baby isn't aware, blah blah blah, but it started to get a little bit weird for both of us once that started happening. And to be honest, my sex drive went down at that point, I guess, a bit. I think it must be part of human nature, although everyone's different, but like in theory, if you go back to like primitive times, the reason that you're having sex is to conceive. So if my body is saying, well actually you've already conceived, why would I necessarily want to have sex? Obviously there is pleasure involved in it, so of course you still kind of want to do it every now and again, but I don't really enjoy it. I've done it for just doing it, you know, because that's what you should do, I guess, but and not being forced into it, by the way. It's just one of those things you just feel like you should kind of sometimes to keep things going in a relationship. But yeah, the other thing that started to get a bit weird was when like my boobs started to leak, because again, you know, you can't really be grabby and all those sorts of things when you've got a bit of a bump and you leaky boobs. It's not that sexy. So there are some positions you can use that make it a bit better, but yeah, it just kind of got less sexy as the time went on. So naturally it's just kind of dwindled a little bit, but I feel like that's normal. And do you know what, if you're someone who doesn't want to have sex that entire time you're pregnant, then fine, so be it. If you're with someone that truly loves you, then they'll be fine about it. And if not, then I mean, there's other things that can be done other than actually physically having sex, you know? But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, leave me a comment down below, go and follow my Instagram for any pictures and updates and immediate updates for when the baby's been born and stuff. And that's it really. Thanks guys for watching, bye!